Hey everyone, Chi here, and this is your October Masterclass. So typically we do this in Zoom. For some reason today it's been very, very weird. So I thought, let me come and live stream it in here. Whenever you catch the replay, no problem. If you have any questions following the training, just tag me, actually not a problem. So I'm just gonna go through the training as kind of mapped out, planned out, and we'll take it from there. All right, let's get my notes up. So yesterday you would have seen me do a live stream in the main group around how creating regular content has allowed me to be able to write my book in like 3 weeks. And my book is around 30,000 words, and it was made a whole lot easier by the fact that I had a lot of content that I could pull from to adapt, change, connect, and everything. And I still wrote quite a bit of work, but it was made a lot easier by having content. And so content marketing, which is the topic of our training today, is so, so important for your business. Okay? And whether you decide to do your content marketing through words, or whether it's through audio, or whether it's through video, it's still the same thing, content. Okay, so I want to get a definition of what content marketing is, and this is what the Content Marketing Institute says. So it says content marketing is a strategic marketing approach focused creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience, and ultimately to drive a profitable customer action. And I think that's just spot on. Basically, our content needs to be able to attract and retain customers. So if the things that you're putting out there are doing that, you need to evaluate what your content is actually doing, because your content should be acting on your behalf to let people know about what you do, who you are, what you're doing, how you can help them, so that they can make a decision as to whether they want to work with you, or progress on with their journey, or come back for more, so to speak. Okay, the content is so important. Content positions you as an expert, as an authority. So, for example, if you're somebody who's doing a lot of regular videos or posts on a particular topic, after a little bit of time, people are going to be like, "Oh, this person, she is for X, she is an expert on X," because that's what your content has been about. And let me give an example. So about 2 years ago, I tested this theory. So I, in my days, so I kind of, I know like SEO, I have studied it, I know how to implement it. So one of the groups I was in, they asked me to come and do a training on SEO, because I think I was just like talking about it. I was helping somebody on a post or something, because they're like, "Come and talk to us about SEO." So okay, sure. And so I did this masterclass, and it was before then. Another organization outside of the online space asked me to come and teach SEO to their members, and then I was asked to do this for this other group. And I remember saying to my husband at the time, "It's a waste to just like come and do all this training and then like not have like an upsell at the end of it." So I was like, frantically, I created my little mini course. That's what the point of the story was. This masterclass for this second group. And I said to myself, I wonder how quickly I could position myself as an SEO expert. Now, I know SEO, I understand it, I know how to take the complexities of what SEO is and break it down into something that's very easy to understand. But I thought, let me see how quickly I can position myself as that. And no word of a lie, it probably took about 4 weeks. So for me, kind of sharing content, sharing videos, sharing a lead magnet on SEO, and just talking about SEO and having all my content driven around the topic, soon I started getting tagged in posts. I started getting requests to come and work with people with their SEO and all that sort of thing. And it was really, really interesting, because it showed me the power of content marketing. It showed me the power of how you, and as me, we decide and we control what's perceived and by our content. All right, so if you're not using your content in that way, you're kind of wasting a trick. And so content is so important because it positions you as an expert. It allows people to understand and know and learn about you, but also recognize that you are the expert, because you're going to be talking about a topic, you're going to be sharing about this topic, doing how-tos, all that sort of thing. And so then I'm like, this person knows what they're talking about. Your content, if done properly, like if we go back to this explanation that the Content Marketing Institute had as their definition, sells on your behalf. Okay, so I know that when people are exploring and looking to want to work with me, they go and look at my content. So essentially, they're going to website, they go and see what's on there, they may check out the podcast, they may sign up to something on my email list, they may come into the Facebook group and see the posts, they go on my Facebook page, they may go on my Instagram. All of it's content. And all of those actions are basically helping them make a decision as to, yes, I want to work with her, or no, I don't. And so you have to think strategically about your content and ask yourself, is it set up and positioned in a way that's going to allow somebody to be able to make a decision about working with me? Is it set up in a way that's going to allow somebody to make a decision and have their questions answered or have their fears alleviated when it comes to working with me? Because again, sometimes we just write content for content's sake. And I know in the early days, like when I first started, it was like, yeah, just, you need to write content, just write content. But we became a kind of like, Gigi, you need to be strategic with this content. Just like with your lead magnet, when you go and create that, I always say to you, like, end goal, like, what is it you're trying to sell here? And then you work backwards to get your lead magnet. The very same thing is with your content. What is the goal? What is the purpose of your content? Because if it's just to put content out there for content's sake, so much content out there right now. I should got a drink. And if you're just adding to the noise, then nobody's going to read it and take action from it and get that transformation. So what is the purpose of your content? And your content needs to sit inside overall business strategy. So a lot of times people focus on the modality, like, oh, I need to write a bit of blogs, or I need to do a lot of videos, or I need to do all that. Actually, that's just a modality. You need to think about the actual, what underpins all of it. What is your content looking to do? So no matter what sector, industry, niche that you're in, content plays a massive role in really helping you establish yourself as an expert, attract and retain clients, but it also helps people build that know, like, and trust factor. Okay, that's the third point. It builds know, like, and trust. So how else would you know about me, my life, my story, my kids, my business, my dreams, my hopes, my fears, without my content? Okay, so this is why when I see people focusing on things like, well, I don't even know what they're focusing on if they're not creating content. Content creation is so key, and it's not necessarily about cranking out loads and loads and loads of content, because really having quality over quantity is far more important. But if you're not creating anything, how are people going to be able to make that decision about working with you? How are people going to be able to make that decision about, like, she knows what she's talking about? Like, this is the evidence. And I've always been one of those people that, I want you to come and see my content and digest it and take action and get results. And if that was all you ever did, it has helped to move you a little bit along the line in your business, because what is the point otherwise? So those of you who are watching on here live now, I would love for you to tell me, what is it that you struggle with when it comes to creating content? And how are you currently using content in your business right now? Do you have a plan around it? Or is it a case of, I'll just post whenever? Do you think strategically about what's happening in your business? What are you selling? What are you promoting? And then does your content support that? Or is it just all a bit haphazard and everything just kind of does? I'd love to know in the comments, because having a clear direction with your content, having intention with your content will really go a long way in helping you have that whole attract and retain aspect of your content marketing. All right, so let me know in the comments what you currently struggle with when it comes to content, and do you have a plan or a strategy around how you create your content, and, like, does it kind of link into anything? All right, because if it doesn't, then you're sort of wasting time, because everything we do in our business, and I remember writing in the book, it's about being intentional. You have to be intentional. There's no point just coming and just being like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever, and I'm just going to write whatever. It doesn't matter. My coach says I need to blog every day, so I'm just going to blog every day and just blog nonsense. And I'm just like, it doesn't work out like that. You really need to be really intentional and focused about what you're saying, because people make judgments around you. People make buying decisions about you based on what you put out there. All right, so we've talked about the three. Content is important. It positions you as an expert and an authority. It sells on your behalf, and it gives people insight into your life so that they can get to know, like, and trust you. Some of the common struggles that people face when it comes to content, and this is what I hear all the time. So, Gigi, I don't know what to write, or I don't know what to say. Very, very common one, and we're going to talk about that and address that. Another common struggle I see is that, how long should it be? Where should I be posting it? So again, this is looking at locations and where it is online. Another common problem I hear is, reality. be a blog? Should I be doing videos? Should I have a podcast? What should I be doing, Gigi? So they're like the three common things I hear. And often as well is that when you are kind of deciding and working through some of these things, it's going to be different to the next person, because we're all different. We all like different things. We're all good at different things. So like I always talk about loving video because it's just easier for me and I can share my message very quickly and very effectively through talking to you, than if I sat here and tried to write all of this down into a post. It would just be very painful. So you want to make sure that you're not making your content just based on what you're seeing other people doing, but based on what works for you in your business and what you enjoy. All right. So let's take those in turn. Okay, so I don't know what to write. Okay, this is a common one, particularly when you think about social media posts and everything else like that. So you're thinking like, okay, I know I need to be visible and I need to be sharing my content, but I have no idea what I should be saying. Here's what I want you to think about. Okay, goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. What is the purpose of your content? If the purpose of your content is to attract and retain customers, what are the things that are going to attract customers to you? Hey, Vesta, what are the things that are going to attract you? So if you think about any of the brands that you have interacted with, that you have enjoyed working with, that you've enjoyed spending money with, what attracted you to them? And so when you're thinking about content and like, what should I be talking about? What should I be saying? You want to think about what sort of things are going to be out there that are going to allow me to build a relationship with a prospective client so that they're going to want to spend money with me and they're going to buy from me. All right. So here's a couple of things. Whenever I'm thinking about wanting to work with somebody or buy something from somebody or an organization, I want to know what they're about. So I want to really understand from them, like, what do they stand for? Who are they? If it's an individual, like, who are they? Like, what is their life? What is the things that are important to them? What is it that they stand for? And all those things are really, really important. And your customers want to know the same from you. Why do you do business? Why have you decided to be a business coach, Chi? Why do you just work with women? Why do you talk about visibility? All these different things. And so content does not need to be difficult. A lot of the times we overcomplicate it and we think it has to be such a scientific thing, but really it's about getting to a place of being able to connect with people. It's about being able to if you think about your client, what are some of the things that they will be thinking about, that they will be concerned about, or they may have questions about? How can I address them? How can I answer them through my content? When you think about I don't have anything to say, or I don't know what to say, there's different ways of approaching this. So the first way is about thinking about, like, I'm building a relationship with people. So how do you build relationships with people? You get to know them. They get to know you. So you share about yourself. You share about what you're doing. You share about what's happening in your business, what's coming up next, some of the lessons that you've learned. You can share those things. And then how can you continue to establish yourself as an expert? Then you teach the things that you do. So for example, I, as a business coach, when I content that is to teach, then I'm very specific about sharing, either strategies or specific concepts that are part of, my framework or what I do, so that I can help to get a point across, which then you can either apply into your business and then go and take action from. So you want to ask yourself, okay, what are the things that my clients need to hear right now? What are the things that I need to be talking about so that they can get comfortable and fully trust that I'm an expert in what I'm doing? So I talk about 12 buckets, and these are like the 12 areas that I talk about, and essentially they're my content buckets. Inside the hub, inside ability. It's strategies. There's a content planning thing in there, and there's a spreadsheet that shows you, like, it walks you through this, and it also has all the details, like it shows you, like, my content buckets. And basically, this is what I was taught, and I've kept it because it really does work. So I have 12 content buckets, okay? And these are things that I talk about all the time, whether it's mindset, confidence, running a business alongside your 9 to 5, running a business alongside your family. I'm just saying things off the top of my head right now. Inside that training, you'll see all the different topics. But the reason I have that if you look at anything that I ever talk about, they will all sit inside those topics, because those are the things that I have said to myself. What do I know? What do I know really well? What can I teach upon? What do I need to share so that I can establish myself as an expert and keep building that know, like, and trust factor? So for you, what are those topics? What are the things that you talk about? What are the things that you know so well? What are the things that you should be talking about so that people know what it is For example, Vesta, you help people with their digital marketing, particularly with social media, helping them get more engagement, helping them launch products, helping them to get more eyes on their business. So you talk about all that stuff, and that should be part of your suite of things that you talk about, because again, they will then be like, oh, Vesta knows what she's talking about. Vesta's knows, she's an expert. Pamela, it is, I'll find it. It's to do with content, like content creation. So I think it's the strategy section in the hub. But it's definitely got content in the title. But in there, I talk about how to kind of plan your content, how to be able to, and how to decide on your topics. So I will dig it out and post it in the group or inside this video as well, so you can have that. So that's really important. So what are those topics? And another way you can plan what you're going to talk about is, like I said before, was thinking about your content as part of your bigger business strategy. So what is happening in your business right now, and what is happening? What are you launching? What are you selling? What is it that you need people to know about? So if I use myself as an example on the podcast now, not the guest episodes because they're standalone. For my posts, I am talking about the book, because right now I'm launching a book. And so my content, whether it be my live streams or whether it be my podcast, will all be kind of tailored around the book, because I want to tell people about it. I want to raise awareness of it, and I'm going to be talking about it. Next month, when we move to the next thing, I'll start talking about that. And so if you know, and again, it comes down to planning and being very much aware. You like to help book idea. Yeah, honestly, it really does help. And just to jump back to that, if you are somebody who plans your content like in quarters, then what I do is I put like content for each quarter, not for each quarter, for each week inside the quarter. So there's like 12, 13 weeks in a quarter. So each week has a theme, and then from there they kind of talk about those things. And the thing is, even if you then repeated that theme 3 months later for like Q4, whatever topic you talked about, grown as a person, you would have learned more about it. You like when I first started talking about consistency, for example, or even visibility 3 or 4 years ago, I still talk about visibility, but I talk at it from a different perspective, but also with greater depth, because I've experienced it more and I talk about it more and I have more to say on that topic. And so the more you talk about something, because again, you might be like, oh, I'm talking about the same thing over and over again. That's fine, because people need to hear the same thing over and over again. And also you're going to have a lot of people coming into your community who are new, and they need that message. So that 12 buckets, you will have the different things that you talk about, but also make sure you're talking about yourself as well. So your story, your background, why you decided to do what you do, your things, your beliefs, things that excite you, and also, you can also talk about your clients as well, like the results that they're getting and the things that they're doing. So there's loads that you can talk about. So going back to what I was saying before about planning in your business, and even if you think, okay, Chi, I can't plan that far ahead for the whole 12 months, let's look at the 90 days. So at the end of this year, what is happening in your business? What are you launching? What are you selling? What are you promoting? And you basically have that out there. So Pamela says, is this for your free content, or rather, how do you plan to differentiate free from paid? Okay, so free from paid. So for me, that bucket idea is for my free content. Now, if I have like a launch or something happening, like say for example, the book, then my content is tailored to that, and it'll have more of an emphasis on that. For my paid content, for example, say for the collective, is very fluid. Like it's very much driven by whatever the group wants. And because I have a lot of content already and I can create content very quickly, I'm very much fluid around that. I only need paid content for like this program. In my one-on-one, they kind of access the content here. So the content that's here is based on what people are currently sharing, or what they've asked me for, or what I see that I think a training on this would be very relevant. I have sat before and like mapped out paid content, but I found that sometimes then it's not relevant. And one of the beautiful things about where I structured this program is that I want it to be very dynamic. So that's how I do that. And then in terms of, okay, all paid content. So when I used to do like masterclasses and things like that, and like paid webinars, what have you, again, it was driven by the community. So like, what are you struggling with? And I'd give them like 5 things, and then they would like vote, and I'd do the one that had the highest votes. So my paid content tends to be driven by the people who are going to use it. And then my free content is driven by what I want people to know about at that time, or what do I want them to hear more about, or what is it that I'm leading them into selling. So it's very much strategically thought about that way. It didn't always used to be. And I also used to, like, when I used to batch the podcast, for example, so I know what's coming in the podcast, but I don't batch it anymore except the interviews. But when I would like batch like a whole season or at least half a season, I was like, oh, I feel so restricted, and like I don't, I want to talk about something else. And that's why I have my episodes like that I want to talk about in the podcast, but they may not all come out in the week that I originally said they were going to come out of, because I may change things or things may change. But again, it's about listening to the, to my tribe, listening and saying, hey, what are they struggling with right now? What do they need to hear right now? What do I need to train them on? Or what do I need to talk about in the podcast right now that's going to be really helpful for them? So there's the planning side, but there's also being quite fluid and, being able to, what's the word now? Be able to adapt. And also before, I used to like have such of content for like video, which was very different to content for podcasts. And I'm just reinventing the wheel here. So now the podcast is what sits at the top. That drives the content for everything else. So whatever podcast episode, their podcast episode yesterday was about, was it yesterday? What was it? Yeah, yesterday. No, Tuesday was around the book launch, okay? And then the live show I did yesterday was about the book launch. And everything will be about the book in like some different way or form. But the podcast will drive the theme, and then all videos, posts, everything else like will kind of sit around. So that, hopefully answer the question, Pamela. So that is how I do it. Everyone's different. And currently that works for me in my business right now. So let me go to my note. That was around people struggling with what to even talk about. There's so many ways, and you can just do like brain dumps. You can do, just so many different ways of how you can get content. And the thing is as well, a lot of you feel that you have to recreate, whereas I like to duplicate and syndicate, if that makes sense. So if I go back to what I was saying, that the podcast sits at the top, and then the live streams then are kind of going a little bit deeper, or kind of breaking down other concepts that we talked about in the podcast. And then on Instagram, you just pull out little bits from what was talked about on in the blog. The blog just will be the podcast. The blog will just be what was ever live streamed, embedded, so you don't have to repeat yourself. And then what goes in the newsletter is whatever was on the podcast, whatever was on the blog. And for October and November, I planned 3 weeks. Sometimes it just helps. Like if okay, this week we're talking all about consistency. So if it's me, I'm like, okay, this week is a week about consistency. So on Monday I might talk about having consistency with your mindset. And then Tuesday I might have consistency in your visibility. And then Wednesday I might say have consistency in your marketing. And then consistency in your money. And then you can just take that whole theme and talk about it a week. And then on Instagram, you might just do a little image and pull out a little quote from one of your posts and everything like that. And it all stemmed from one post. And so, for example, the podcast for that week might talk about the whole consistency quadrant and how that all works and the different areas and why consistency is important and why you're not being consistent. And then I could then take that theme and then like on my live streams, talk about the little actions you can be consistent in different areas. So yeah, theming works. Theming is really, really good. So that's for when you don't know what to write. So what if your other point was like, I don't know what modality. So should I be writing Chi-Chi? Should I be teaching through video? Should I be doing a podcast? So people ask that question. Pamela, I'm just going to read your question. Do you have a schedule plan of action you can share? Yeah, I can share something with you guys, no problem. I can show you ones that I'm like in that training thing. It will show you like the plan I use. It's sort of mocked up, but it'll give you an idea, because what I show you is how I map the whole year for what's happening in the business. So there's the whole roadmap, and then this says like we're launching this, we're launching this, we're launching this. And the reason I do that, I'm gonna die. Is the reason I do that is that we can all see the team, what's happening and when, and then from there the content sits behind that. So I think it really helps to map out your year. But if you don't know your year, at least map out the quarter, and then map, and do like the whole 12-week year thing and map out the 12 weeks and say, in these 12 weeks, I'm watching this, and all the focus is this, because it's all about start with the end in mind. A lot of people just go and start creating content without thinking about the end in mind. So very similarly like to your lead magnet, you have to think about what this content's expected to do. So yesterday I did the content. The goal of that was to raise awareness of the book, which all the pieces will be. Also talk about the collective, raise awareness about the collective. And every live, everything I'm going to be doing pretty much this month will be kind of connected to the book or topics and concepts within the book. So yeah, so Pamela, have a look at that. And if you want more detail, if it's not like what you're looking for, let me know and I can adapt something. But that is literally how I do it. I start with the year, I break it down into a quarter, and then on that spreadsheet it will show like the different weeks, and then I can't remember whether I have it showing like across the different platforms of what we're doing. So I used to like do lots of things across different platforms, and that was like a lot of work. And then because I like to have to create excess work for myself, I realized that I just needed to pick the top end thing. So I originally wanted it to be the video. What I originally wanted it to be video was the top thing, and then everything distilled from there. But I found that it was easier to have the podcast as the baseline and then everything else flow from that. So you deciding what your modality is going to be is based on you and your personality. If you like to write, then you know, okay, writing is my thing, I'm going to write consistently and my content's going to flow from there, because you know, how many great blogs do we know that are out there? So many. And so if you write consistently really well and people follow you and they read your blog, that is not me. So me, I am a video person, I am an audio person. So I will always choose those mediums, and I will still end up having written versions of them because I just transcribe those things and still have a written version. But I don't lead with writing. It's just too hard for me. It'll just take too long. So effectively, you choose what works for you, and you choose what is the thing that you can commit to. Because if you're going to choose, if I just like, so I'm going to commit to writing every week, I'd just be like, oh my gosh. I'd just be like, no. I wouldn't be excited to do that. Whereas like, okay, I'm going to record a podcast episode every week. That excites me and I will do that. And then I know from that, like a 50-minute podcast is quite a decent length blog post. And then from there, we've got our, 2 forms of content. And then if we then decide to do anything on Instagram or Pinterest, we've got other channels with that. So you decide on your modality of what you can commit to and what is your strategy. Because, for example, Pam's very good on video. So she, I would be like, you just rock video and decide how you want to repurpose that thing. And again, when you talk about repurposing, and I talk about syndication and syndication, it's like one video can do so many things. So one video can go to YouTube, one live stream can go to YouTube, can go to SoundCloud, MP3, blog as a text. You can pull out quotes and things that you've mentioned to go on Instagram, on Twitter. So you can actually take one piece of content, and it can be you or your VA. They can go in and do all of that, because that's my workflow. And we're just revamping it, but that is essentially the workflow where I will record a podcast episode, and you guys go and take everything you need from that to create loads of content everywhere. Because you don't need to have so much stuff, because what you'll find is that people are not even reading the stuff you're putting out, and you're churning out. It's better to write one really quality piece and then syndicate it everywhere so that people get to listen to it or hear it or read it in whatever way they respond to. And here's what I'm saying about the whole channel modality thing. Your way of doing, like, you may want to do, but where possible, allow other people to experience that in the way that works for them, which is why I'll have a video, but I'll also have an audio, and I'll also have a transcripted version of it as well. Because whilst I like to do video, I like to read because I don't like to watch video because I prefer to either listen or read something because it's faster in some aspects. So everybody is different, and so you decide what your best method of delivery is, and then make sure that you can then have the output in many different forms to meet the needs of the people in your community. All right. Okay. So what else did I say? So modality, yes. And then in terms, so I talk about modality, and then how you want to do that. So it's about knowing what to say. And the third thing I said as well. But again, people ask questions about frequency and repeating themselves and everything like that. And here's the thing, right? You can honestly repeat yourself, because there's so much information that not everybody will see it the first time. And even if they did see it the first time and you repeated it, let's say 3 months later, they probably won't even remember. But here's one thing I did notice. So, you see it more on launches because it's the intensity of a launch. For somebody like I was following, and I got one of their emails, and I was like, I've seen this email before. This looks really familiar. And And I realized, so I went and searched, and I realized that it was the same launch process that they'd used like maybe 3 or 4 months later. And so they repeated the same email again. I thought, you know what, I'm not. And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything bad of it. And I realized for me, when I do launches, I can repeat that same process. But also, like I said with the book, I went back, I went through all my emails through Active Campaign and even on Facebook. And I was like, gosh, there's so many pearls of wisdom here. There's like some really good stuff here. And if you don't repurpose that stuff, and if you don't use it in any other way, it just dies. So I think like kind of repeating yourself is perfectly fine. Obviously, don't repeat the same thing last week and this week and then the following week. Have a bit of space to do that. But you will find that you have so much content out there already. And a lot of the time, so was it last year we did it? Or was it this year? I can't remember. Maybe it was this year. So I had a period like where I batched everything, and I had like a whole 3 months worth of content recorded and done and transcribed. So I knew that stuff was coming out every week, even if I did nothing. And my goal is to do like what Denise Deville Thomas does and like record for a year. That would like be amazing. So I knew that was happening. And I then had a quarter where I didn't create any new content, like very, very minimal. But would you've noticed? Probably not, because we just repurposed and repackaged and just updated things that were there. So like if you went through your blog right now, like back to the old stuff, I'm sure you would find like really great stuff that you can just update and refresh. Don't change the URL if you can avoid it, because that way it'll save SEO in Google. Just change the content. Yes, she does. She takes out 3 days, 3-4 days. She hasn't, and previously she was in her house, but this year, like at the end of last year, she hired like a set that was made to look like her house, and she recorded the whole year worth of content. So she does it so that it's 3 pieces of content every month at least, so that she has a week free to kind of, you know, if there's more topical things to talk about. But she said that, you know, she's so grateful for doing that, because at the beginning of this year she went through a big transition in her life and in her business, and she didn't just feel like doing anything. And she said if it wasn't for the fact that she had already recorded this stuff, she said nothing would have gone out. And I think for that basis, I love the whole concept of consistency, because one of the ways you can achieve consistency is to just plan it in. And so that way, Money Bootcamp, yeah, I'm in her program. I think I joined the second time she ever did it, or the third time. So yeah, I've been in there for like 4 years or so. So with that was a huge thing. So it enables her to have content coming out every single week, and it's like consistency, because people didn't just, you know, every Wednesday Denise is in your inbox every Wednesday, and so she could be traveling. So like right now she's in like America, she's just landing there with her kids and stuff, but like her content is done, and what happens is it's all done and prepared, transcribed with an audio, and all she does is just write the little intro, and then her assistant pulls everything else together. So I think it's a brilliant way to do it. So goals, #goals, that's what I wanted to be able to do, because then you can just sit back and just know that once a week. And there's another thing that I learned from Denise as well, is that aside from the fact that I'm having like, you know, one core program, which, you know, has earned her $1 million, but from a content perspective, you won't see like doing 50 million live streams. She is very consistent like on Instagram and consistent on Facebook, but she has found her thing. And so she has found her thing that allows her to be consistent, and she shows up. And so for people who meet her and know her, she's very much kind of like a consistent content creator, and she's found the way to do that for herself. So important. So yes, a couple of things just to kind of wrap up and kind of summarize and what have you. You want to give your content a purpose, okay? So start with the end in mind. What role is this content playing, okay? And there's different kinds of content. There's content teaching content, there's content to create connection with people, there's content to inspire. And when I talk about inspire, it's like sharing your wins, sharing your stories, basically inspiring people to want to be a lot more like you, and then, you know, want to come up with you. There is sales content. And then again, another thing to consider is where people are on the buyer's journey. All right, so this is another thing to factor in. So for somebody who's never heard of you, the kind of content you're going to place in front of them versus somebody who loves and adores and knows everything about you is very, very different. Okay, because they're building that kind of know, like, and trust factor, and you have to kind of serve them with that, as opposed to somebody who knows your stuff and you can kind of get away with a little bit less. So you once showed how to transfer videos and how to edit the pic of a live, Are you able to share that, please? I can do that. I'll see if I already recorded that on Loom, but if not, I'll record it. I'm live streaming from my laptop, so I can't do that while I'm on live. But I'll check if I already have it, and if I don't, I will do that. But yeah, really easy. So you want to make sure that you are thinking about the content. So myself an example, I'm going to make sure that content that I am sharing is two things. I'm trying to target a particular kind of person. Whilst I have like different kinds of people in my community, so people who are brand new to business, people who are a bit more experienced, people who are in the 9-to-5s, I'm targeting one kind of person in essence. And what that means is that everybody else, the stuff is still relevant, but I have to make sure I'm speaking to that one person. And I also got to make sure that I'm speaking to that person at the level at where they're at right now, which for some will be higher than where they're at. And so there's that kind of aspirational piece. But if I try to speak to like everybody, my messaging will be very confusing. So if I like start like, what is magnet and this and what is that? Somebody who's been in business like 2 years will be like, oh, I know this stuff, like this is not relevant for me, and I'll go. So I'm not teaching that stuff because I expect the people that I'm looking to attract to work with know that. Now, if you come into my tribe and you're like, oh, I don't know what lead magnet is, then sure, you will find content that tells you that, but I'm not leading with that kind of content. All right, so just bear that in mind with your content and who you're trying to speak to. Make sure you know your end purpose and also who you're trying to talk to. Make sure you bring your personality into your stuff. So like I said, depending on what modality you use, but even if it's written, whether it's video, bring you into your content because that's what people like. They like to connect with you. It resonates. They like, I've got to know this person. I've got to understand a little bit about them. And like I said, content is not just, you know, long posts or long videos. Content is like me going on Instagram stories and just like showing a snap of my kids yesterday having their pictures taken at school. That's content. That's kind of giving you insight into my life as a mum so that you can like relate if you're a mum or not. And so content can be anything that allows people to just get to know a little bit more about you. Pam says, I am big on personality, on content, very important. So true. Yeah, Edna, I will check for you, but I'll check for the video. So you want to make sure to bring you into your stuff. You want to make sure that, here's the thing, you want to be able to go to your tribe and you want to say to them, like, tell me my story. And they should be able to tell you. They should be able to tell you, like, what you're into. They should be able to tell you, like, what you don't like. They should be able to tell you your values. And I'm preaching to myself here because if they don't know that stuff, they don't really know you. And people need to know you. Like when I think about people who I've chosen to work with, okay, fine, I don't know, you don't know the last detail, and you'll never know the last detail because you don't need to know the last detail. I can tell you, like, I can tell you, what she's into, what she's about, what her values are. I can tell you like a lot about her based on what I know from her. And that was one of the things that really attracted me to her, to the decision to work with her. So you want to make sure that, am I putting that kind of content out that really resonates with people? And some people think, okay, it's business, you must, it's business, be professional. They don't need to know that. I just, even like the Tesco's of the world and the big corporations, they have to bring a bit of personality into their brands and their stories and their content. Otherwise, people are just like, this is boring. I'm just going to do something else. So even the big boys have to do it. What more for us little fish in the sea, if you know what I mean. Okay, next one, quality. Always, it's better to have a really mega detailed blog post that's quality that people can read and take action from than to have like lots of piddly things. And I hate that so much. I see people like, oh, I'm lying. I don't read a post. It's nothing. There's no substance. And there's just nothing worse than that. Google hates it. Readers hate it because it's just empty. So don't do that. Share your content, so 80% of it, like really getting it out there and sharing it, 20% is writing it or creating that video or what have you. So for a 10-minute live stream, I want to make sure that I'm juicing it, getting all the juice out of it. So whether it's video, blog post, what have you, get it out there on my email list, everything, tell people. Repurpose, like I've said, make sure you're repurposing so you're not having to really kind of do the same thing over and over again. And another big one is leverage other people's platforms. Content doesn't have to be content on your platform. So, whether it's a guest post or a podcast or anything else like that, leverage other people's platforms because it allows more eyes on you and more traffic, and it also adds that whole know, like, and trust and authority status. Okay. So any questions, ladies, those of you who's on about content creation? I like to, I think planning really is important, because when you try to wing it, you either get it done or you don't do it, or it's a bit half-assed. And planning just helps you know what you're going to say across your different platforms. It also helps you check in and make sure that you have a good mix of the types of content. So have I got connection content here? Have I got content, where am I selling? Where am I teaching? Where am I, being inspirational? It's just allows you to be able to take a step back and go, yeah, it's balanced, it's good. What are we doing on Facebook this week? What are we doing on Instagram this week? And it all needs to tie in together. And this is something that I'm trying to get better at, because it works, and then they all complement each other, and then you don't have like stuff going out here, stuff going out here, and doesn't make sense, and it's not all connected. Because again, it all goes back to what is the purpose of your content. And like I said, content marketing is a strategic marketing approach. Okay, it's focused on creating and distributing valuable, so make sure it's valuable, relevant to the people you're trying to attract, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience, and ultimately to drive profitable customer action. Right, so that's the definition I read at the top of this training. That is what your content should be doing. Okay, it needs to be focused, it needs to be relevant, it needs to be valuable, it needs to be consistent, because there's nothing worse than putting out something and then like we don't see you for ages and it gets and what have you. And it needs to attract and retain a clearly defined audience. Okay, so everything you write, speak, talk, do, everything has to speak to your client. Okay, can't be just to anybody. And even with the book, I know there's men who have told me they're going to go and buy the book, but I had to kind of stay focused and say, this book is for women, and I need to talk to women. And I know men are going to read it. Like, to my friends told me this morning they just bought it. It's for women. So, you'll read about women's stuff. So you got to make sure it's targeted and focused. All right. So let's see what else is left on here. I don't think there's any. Yeah. Okay. So if there's no questions, I'm going to go and check for those things that you guys asked for. So yes, doing subtitles on a post. Yeah, I'll check that. And if I can't find a video, Edna, I will do a live stream now on my page. But the book is a pre-order, and then I will go and put in the subtitles and show you how to do that. And then Pam, yeah, let me know if you want more stuff on scheduling content stuff out there. And great content, because it will help you. Sorry. And like I said in the training yesterday, quick live stream yesterday, you have lots of great content out there. Have you ever you just like looking for something online, right? And then you discover someone's blog and you're just like, oh my goodness, amazing. And you like read one article and you're like, oh, there's more. And then before you know, you have about 6, 7, 10, kind of keep seeing like these amazing articles that you want to read all from this one person. You want people to feel that way when they come to your website or anything. They want to be like so excited to read your content. And when I discover people like that, I'm just like, or whether it's videos or what have you, I'm just like, oh, this is amazing. And like by the end of it, I'm just like, where do I give these people money? Like, I want to work with them or learn more or what have you. So in the beginning, how much time did I spend creating? A lot, because you've got to think, like, in the beginning, you don't have a bank of stuff. You don't have anything. So like now I have a lot of content out there, but it's built up over time. But the main thing I've done is really about consistency. So like at the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do like one how-to post every week, and then I'll do like one kind of connection type post every week. And back then I was doing like more blogging and stuff like that. But I was very structured like that because I wanted to kind of have a variety of stuff and really establish myself, but also build up a bank of stuff, because it makes it easier for you to convert people when you have a lot more bank of stuff. Because if they have come into your world and there's like nothing for them to like read or see or hear or anything, then you have to do a lot more talking to them. They're like convincing me, like when you do a call, it's more there's nothing to go on. But I know, like, if somebody comes into my world, there's so many places that they can go to validate and check out who I am before making that decision. And it makes the decision process easier. So you're welcome, Edna. You're welcome. This is helpful. I will go and check out those other things. Going to be off the grid for a couple of days now, going up to Manchester. My grandma's funeral's tomorrow, so I'll be back with you guys next week. And I'm also going to catch up on sleep as well, because I'm tired. But if there's anything else, just let me know. Just tag me, hashtag #AskChichi, and I'll pick it up next week in our Q&A call. All right? Thanks for watching. Bye.